Almost forgot to hit the button.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you hit the button. Hello, Craig. Hello, chat. Hello, audience. Welcome in to the best Damn Illini Postgame Show from No One Asked Us. He is Craig. I am Logan. I am back. I missed the game. I'm sorry. Wasn't sure if I would even be here for this one, but I am damn sure glad that I am. Like, share, subscribe, get in the chat. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know where you're watching from. If you're listening to us after the fact, we appreciate you. Let's get into this thing. Illinois. Needed I don't know who needed this win more. Purdue probably needed the win more, honestly, at this point. But Illinois definitely is playing for seeding and gets a big win. Big home win over the Boilermakers. 88-80 is the final. Purdue is a flailing team. Illinois seems to be trending upwards now. This is now 3 wins in a row for the Illini after what was an abysmal month and a half of terrible basketball. Craig, hello. It's great to see you. You're breathing. Have you checked your pulse?
No.
You good? What's your heart rate?
I was so
also,
chill.
You're really like swagged out.
Yeah.
How that hat? That a new purchase or?
I think I got it over the summer.
Okay, that's great. Good to see you. Go on.
Yeah, I had the switch. I normally wear something Illinois every game day. Didn't have the hat on today, but late in the game, I was like, you know what? We're gonna swag it all out today because of the win. As you can see, I've got someone on alert right here.
Oh,
can't see.
Yeah. I can't see. I have a dog. Yes, I see a dog.
Yes, the dog is peeking out from under the couch because that last 2 minutes there was some jumping, there was some screaming, and through it all, baby is still asleep. That's a dad win right there.
Congratulations.
No, but I was so chill like the first 35 minutes of this game because we've talked about it before. I'm kind of resigned to the fact that I don't want to call this a lost season, but the season hasn't exactly gone how we expected it to.
Sure.
So at this point, I'm just like, whatever happens, happens.
Correct.
And
I'm with you.
I mean, I think that came to a head when they got up 10. I was like, all right. I mean, we're going to go into the Big Ten tournament as the 7 or 8 or 9, whatever seed. Probably have to play Michigan State in the quarterfinals. It is what it is, whatever. And then I can't even remember what flipped the switch. I don't even remember what started the comeback. I thought the missed KJ layups cost the game. There were multiple times where I was like, all right.
Several missed layups. We'll get into that.
Multiple times. I was like, okay. I mean, we gave it a good shot, played decent. It's just not going to happen. And then next thing you know, it's a 2-point game. Helmerkaus hits some threes, and yeah, it just seemed like it came out of nowhere. I didn't realize we had lost 5 straight to Purdue, so it's nice to get on that, back on that winning side of it. Nice to get to 20 wins in the regular season. I don't know if you kept the broadcast on. Illinois is now one of 4 schools to win 20 games each of the past 5 seasons. Houston.
Wow, I didn't see that. I bet they. Okay, I guess I did see that flash across, but I wasn't actually reading. But go on.
Houston, San Diego State, and I can't remember the last one. I feel like it started with an N. Oh, I already turned it off. I don't know. But one of 4 schools to win 20 games in the last each of the last 5 seasons. So, yeah, I mean we've criticized this team so much, but it's a 20-win season. It's a above 500 season in the Big Ten. I think we just all had such high expectations that we all feel kind of disappointed. But it's been a pretty good. There have been some moments. It's been a pretty good year.
Yeah.
To end on a note like this, regular season wise. Not too much to complain about today. There are still some complaints, but not too much to complain about in the bigger picture.
Yeah, no, I think we're on the same page there. I think everybody knows that there was a bad stretch of basketball from January 11th to February 22nd. It was bad. Illinois won 5 games in that stretch, and they lost way too many. But we all know. We know the stories. We know the injuries, the illnesses, the whatever. We don't need to get into that. We're here to talk about today's game. And as I said, this is now 3 wins in a row against a very good Michigan team and a very good Purdue team. Now, granted, both of those teams have kind of been flailing here at the end of the season, while Illinois has seemed to turn things around since the debacle in the Garden. But this was a big win. And they talked about it on the TV broadcast. Illinois has some impressive wins this season. Going to Oregon in what was it? The biggest win on the road against a ranked team or whatever.
Top 10.
So that was crazy. And then they have wins against a very good Wisconsin team, and they have wins against a very good Missouri team, and now they have a win against a very good Michigan team and a very good Purdue team. Illinois has some big wins on this season. Yes, they have suffered some unfortunate losses, but this was amongst the biggest. This was a home win to close out the season in front of a ruckus audience. And again, I think Gonzaga is
that was the 4th.
Okay, that makes sense.
Thanks, Bootzilla.
Again, I think Purdue probably needed this win more than Illinois did, but I'm certainly glad that Illinois has it. At this point, you're just playing for seeding. You're not getting the double bye in the Big Ten tournament, but I think in something we've talked about before, you really want to get out of that 8-9 game in the NCAA, and I think this might do it for you. I think this probably locks you into at minimum a 7. As long as you don't just lay an absolute egg in the first round of the Big Ten tournament on Thursday night, or whatever time they play, I think you're probably safe in the 7 line, which is good. You'd much rather be on the 7, though some of those 2 seeds are also pretty dangerous as well.
I think that goes for the Big Ten as well. I think this keeps the Illinois out of the 8-9 Big Ten game as well.
Yes, I think that is true. We'll talk about all of that. Let's talk about this game, though. 88-80 was the final. Brad pretty much played 6 deep. It was the 5 starters and Ben Helmerkaus. He played 21 minutes. Dre and Jake combined for 13 minutes, but it was the starters. Will Riley had a heck of a game, 22 points for him, 2 boards, 4 assists. Tre White, 20 points. He hit 3 threes, 2 of them at least in the first half, I think. He had like the first 7 points of the game for Illinois or something like that. 15 for Kylan, 14 for Tomislav, and 10 for KJ, including the dagger, the 3 points at the end. I did not want him taking that shot. I was very vocal in my house. Allison can attest to that. I did not want KJ taking that shot, but he did, and he made it. Do what?
Can you recreate it?
Me yelling at him not to take the shot? No.
No. Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, that was obviously the dagger, but the defense there from Will and Ben to stop Tre on Tre Kaufman had what, 30 points, 29 points, and he was ready to get 31 right there, and Ben just walled up, and Will came in and grabbed the ball away from him. That was the play of the night. I mean, yes, yeah. KJ hit the dagger, hit the shot, so kudos to him, but Ben Hummerkaus, man, he only scored, what was it, 7 points or something, 7 points, but he had 2 threes, had that big stop, that big wallop. There wasn't much they could do on Tre Kaufman all game. As I said, 29 points for him. He's the first team all Big Ten player for a reason. But when it mattered most, Ben Hummerkaus came up big on that play.
Yeah. I think the absence of Merez was a major factor today.
Correct.
That allowed Kaufman to absolutely go off.
Yes.
Ivisic couldn't guard him without fouling. Hummerkaus couldn't guard him without letting him score. So he did get his 29, but those instances that you're talking about, I mean, we've wanted to see it all season, so give him his flowers when he's deserved. They started doubling. The last 2 minutes, they finally started doubling Kaufman in the post, and I don't know that he scored after that. I don't think he scored in the last 2 or 3 minutes of the game, pretty much every possession. So I do want to give, I don't know if it was Hamer, I don't know if it was an assistant or if it was Brad, props for the switch, but the switch to double in the post really paid off, because in the second half, Kaufman had 16. Braden Smith had 7, but on 3 of 11 shooting. Kaufman was the only person doing anything in the second half. Yep. So that was a very good adjustment by Brad and his staff the last 2 or 3 minutes to double in the post, because no one else. Someone put it in the chat here. It was your dad. Their big 3 are really good, but after that, it's a big drop off.
Right.
Right. And the other cliche or typical.
Hey,
Mom.
Hi, Mom. Yeah, no, and I was thinking about that at one point late in the game too. I mean, I was definitely thinking like Purdue really has the best 2 players on the court, and then I think it might be Illinois. Fletcher Lawyer's in there somewhere, but I mean, Illinois definitely has a lot more depth as far as that. But yeah, Purdue doesn't have a ton outside of those 3 for sure. So yeah, it was a nice change of pace to do what they did in the second half to kind of make some adjustments and change some things up, because they definitely needed it. Kind of went over the scoring at least. Tre White also had 9 rebounds. He's been on a different level. I don't know what all went down in the locker room. Tre was obviously sick, just like everybody else was. There may or may not have been some other things going on there as to why he didn't play for a game or 2. But Tre White has been a different player the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. This whole team has been different since Duke. But Tre White especially, what are his numbers the last few games? Because it's really been him and Will that have really kind of taken things over and more or less been like the MVPs of the last stretch of games here. Tre White tonight, again, 20 points for him, 9 rebounds, had an assist, had a block, 1 turnover. I mean, like I like having him out here. There were times where I was just not sure about the Tre White experience, but he has been maybe the most important piece on this roster the last week and a half, 2 weeks. And I have to applaud him and the coaching staff. Whatever changed, whatever message was sent, it's been huge because wherever this season goes from here, however many more games they play, whether that's 2 games or whether that's 6, Tre White is going to be a very important part of it. And especially the other thing too here is, Illinois is without Morez Johnson, and they've replaced Ben Hummerkaus in the lineup. So you're playing smaller now. You don't have a real 4-man. You're playing with 2 point guards and 2 wings, essentially. One of them is not the strongest freshman in the world. So, like, Tre's having to do a lot from a physical standpoint. And I've really liked what I've seen out of him. It's been a different player the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. Was it the Minnesota game that he didn't play and we were kind of like, what's going on? Because that's the game he only played 1 minute.
Could have been, yeah. He had a did not play in there too, somewhere. There was a couple games where
it would have been after Minnesota because there's a 10-day stretch in his game log where he didn't play.
So he was sick.
And the 18th.
He was sick, but I do also think there was some other stuff going on there that was never actually disclosed. But he's just been a lights out different player.
He didn't play in 2 games. He didn't play against UCLA or Michigan State.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, he has been him and Will. I'm going to echo exactly what you just said. Him and Will have been the X factors. I think we've talked about it ad nauseum. I mean, he still had. Oh crap! Where'd it go? I lost the box score. Just pause. I mean, KJ still had 10 and 7. Like, he played decent, but he was 3 of 10 from the field. He hasn't been his normal early season self. I thought Kylan's been playing well today. I don't think he particularly stood out. He had 15 points, but 7 of them from the free throw line. So I don't think he played particularly well. It's been Will Riley and Tre White carrying you. And I agree. I think there was probably some sort of conversation had with Tre. But I do also think a big factor was his sickness. I mean, he's just a completely different person. Yeah. Even the first couple games he was back or when he was trying to play through it, he was just lethargic and there was no energy. And he is flying around. He's getting rebounds. He's making shots. I mean, this is a dude that, I mean, we talked about it when he committed, and I was very skeptical of it because he came from Louisville. I watch every Louisville game since we moved down here, and I just didn't see it. I did not see it, and I said it when he committed. Maybe it's put him in a better system, give him some better pieces to go with him, and he will be better. I did not see this coming whatsoever. He is right now. I mean, as crazy as it sounds, he's still the 5th best player. He's been playing the best, but overall, I still think he's the 5th best player on this team, and he's been carrying it the last couple wins. It's crazy.
I would agree. He's been huge. What's going on in the chat? You've been flagging some things. Anything you want to point out? Anybody that you want to shout out before we move on to other things?
Yeah, this was a stat that I think the Field of 68 had, and I confirmed because I didn't think it sounded right, and but it adds to it. It's from your dad again. Illinois is now 17-2 when they shoot at least 27% from 3. So that's what they said on the Field of 68. That's what they said. They said it's not like Illinois has to be elite at shooting the 3. They just have to not suck. They just have to be okay at shooting the 3, and they win 17 of their 19 games. 36.7% tonight. Purdue shot 27.8%, 5 of 18. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. I haven't been flagging any because I've been looking at stats and stuff. We really need to get that producer on here again.
Can we just talk about the bad now?
Yeah. Talk about
how many missed layups did they have?
I can look.
I mean, the KJ one was the most abysmal. The play off of the back of whoever it was, and then just blows the layup. But even before that, they missed like 5 layups prior to that. Like
10 of 14 on layups. So they only missed 4 layups, but it seems like they missed a lot more.
It seemed like they missed more than that. I mean, I believe that, but like
I don't know what constitutes a layup.
It felt like they missed more than that. Again, they won the game by 8 points, so obviously it didn't matter. But
Illinois
it
was
just
10 of
seemed
14.
like they were missing more layups.
Illinois was 10 of 14 on layups. Purdue was 18 of 22. They took 22 layups. Illinois took 14.
Illinois, especially in the first half, was doing a lot better job of just cutting, driving, just getting to the basket, just not settling for a lot of the same 3-point shots that we've been accustomed to. They still shot 30 of them, but they made 11. So I can't certainly be upset about that. But they were doing a lot more driving, getting to the basket, cutting, all those things, moving the ball pretty well. I didn't see any of the first half. I was listening to the first half.
I mean, and the people I were talking to, the group chat, I don't know, and none of us figured out how we were only down 2 that half.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 of 15 from 3 in the first half. Is that right? Yeah, 4 of 15 from 3 in the first half. You're only down 2, and I didn't think Purdue played particularly bad. So it didn't make a whole lot of sense. Again, I don't know where the switch flipped. It seems like Purdue was up 10, and next thing I know, KJ's hitting the 3 with a minute and a half left to put us up 3. It was crazy to me.
Well, it happened. It happened. Yeah, it was. I was pleased enough to walk into the house, and basically at halftime and see that they were only trailing by 2. I was fine with that, and then obviously it resulted in an 8-point victory by the end of the day.
Michael giving us the rundown of Coach's post-game radio, said KJ
shocker.
Was feeling a little under the weather, of course.
Shocker. I saw that Kerry Booth was listed as questionable too.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's not a huge factor in the rotation, but like, can we just get past this? This whole under the weather, everybody being sick or injured has been the whole story since early January. I'm really over it. What did it say? Paul's here. We didn't get many second chances tonight. Did we win the rebounding battle? That's a great question.
Yes. 29 to 27.
Okay.
So not many rebounds to be had compared to our 41 average. But you're right. Not many second chance points. Illinois only had 6 and Purdue only had 8. So not a lot of second chance points tonight on either side.
Yeah. Not a lot of bench points scored in this game either.
No.
I didn't even realize it that I said that Dre and Jake combined for 13 minutes, but they also combined for 0 points. So Ben's 7 points on the bench for all of the bench points for Illinois.
Yep.
This is the point. This is where we're at. This is a 6-man rotation. When Merez comes back, I'm sure he will eat into somebody's minutes a little bit. But you never know. We also saw the Big Ten tournament last year. We saw Dane Danger go weeks without playing, and then all of a sudden he was the best player in the whole tournament. So, I wouldn't say – I would just say to Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn, be ready. Your time can come any day, any second. So, any analytics you want to go over? And do we need to go into the analytical corner?
No, I mean, what you just said is what stuck out to me. All 5 starters were double digits in efficiency. Tre White was with one of the best analytical offensive games I've seen, 28 in efficiency, 18.8 in game score. 4 of the 5 starters were double digits plus in the plus minus. Tommy was a wash. He was 0 in plus minus. Will was plus 15. Kylan, Tre, and KJ were all plus 11. Ben was also plus 4. And then the other 2, Gibbs-Lawhorn was minus 8 and Davis was minus 4. But yeah, it was really a 5-starter day. Didn't really get much from anyone else. I did notice something here just now looking at the stats. Do you notice anything about Purdue's starting lineup? What do you look at the stats on, ESPN or Stat Broadcast?
I'm on the Stat Broadcast.
Do you notice anything about their starting lineup?
They were all single digits.
Do you look at the single digits?
let's see, who were their starters? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 0.
Their starters are 0, 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4,
Yeah.
and 5 comes off the bench.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
I did realize that because I was listening to the radio broadcast and Barnhart essentially brought it up. Yeah, I saw, this is off subject, has nothing to do with Illinois basketball, but the Pacers had a lineup out there recently that was like that. I saw that they
It
posted.
was 0, 0, 0, 1, 2, 3.
Correct. Yes. But yeah, Purdue has a lot of single digit players. And none of them are, like the 6 or the 7s like we've started to see now more of in college basketball. What else you got? Seriously, though, when was the last time we beat Purdue? Well, it's been 5 games.
I know. I'm trying to look it up real quick.
They played twice last year. They played twice at least a couple times. So
I feel like we've ended the season with Purdue the last 3
It hasn't been that long, but it's been at least 3 years probably.
I'll look it up real quick.
But yeah, this is a big win. This is a big win for Illinois. This is certainly one of the biggest, if not the biggest win of the season. This is a very good Purdue team that has 2 first-team All Big Ten players. They are flailing, as we've talked about. What have they been lately?
January 2nd, 2021.
Okay, well,
66-58 win in Champaign.
Purdue has now lost 5 of their last 7 games. So, yeah, not great. Illinois seemed to hit their struggles in the middle of the season. Now Purdue seems to be hitting their struggles at the end of the season. So that's not great for them going into postseason play. But still, as I said, Braden Smith and Trey Kaufman-Renn are 2 first-team All-Big Ten selections. So you have to take the win when you can get it. This is a quad 1 win, a quad 1A win for Illinois. I would have to think that'll stay there. That's something we talked about.
How about USC helping us out?
Who'd they beat recently?
They beat someone and they jumped up like 8 spots.
Yes. They beat Washington.
They beat Washington by 31, and somehow that jumped them up 8 spots. So now that's a quad 2 loss instead of a quad 3 loss.
Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense because prior to that point, they had lost 6 in a row or 5 in a row, whatever. So yeah, good for Illinois. Okay, let's talk about what's next. We got more chat. What else is going on in the chat?
Well, that's kind of what this is. Talking about seeding for the Big Ten.
Yes, let's talk about seeding for the Big Ten. So what is next? Illinois finishes the regular season 20 wins, 12 Big Ten conference wins. Seeding. So Illinois is definitely not going to be 1 through 5. I think they could potentially fall anywhere 6 through.
I think it's either 6 or 7. I don't think they can. I don't think they'll be.
What's the first tiebreaker? Is it head-to-head?
I don't know.
Because if the first tiebreaker is head-to-head, Illinois has the advantage over both UCLA and Oregon.
Yes.
Who would be the other 2 teams that could potentially be tied with them as far as record goes. So if that is the tiebreaker.
If UCLA beats USC, Illinois is, I think, the 6. Or if USC beats UCLA.
Yes. If USC beats UCLA,
Illinois is the 6.
Illinois is the 6. Correct. I think that's how it would go.
But I think also Oregon would need to beat Washington. No.
Well, if that's the tiebreaker, if head-to-head is the tiebreaker. Yeah,
I was getting them confused. Yes.
It won't matter.
If USC beats UCLA,
Oregon wins or not.
Illinois is the 6. I believe that's almost a lock.
Correct. If UCLA wins, they'll be the 6. Illinois would then be the 7. So you're looking at 1, 2. Michigan State's going to be the 1. Michigan's going to be the 2. Wow. It could. No, that may not work that way. There's Michigan, Maryland, and Wisconsin are all playing for that 2, 3, 4. However, that gets jumbled. So Illinois would be looking at what? 5, either some combination of Michigan, Maryland, Wisconsin in the Friday game. Who they would get in the Thursday game. I don't know. I don't have all of this down. I'm just looking at the standings.
There's a guy, Matt Hackman, that does probabilities
Yes,
for conference
I've seen
tournaments.
his stuff. Yes.
This was yesterday at 10:30. So this has not been updated with today's result. Illinois had a 12% chance at the 6 seed, a 59% chance at the 7 seed, and a 30% chance at the 8 seed. So it had to be one of those three. I don't know how that changes with tonight's result, but that's what it was going into today.
Wait,
So
who
five's
did
out
you
of the
say?
question. Anything? Matt Hackman?
No,
MJ Hackman?
no. Okay, never mind. I thought you were talking about something else. So who would be? So we'd be if we're the 6, for the 7, we get the 10.
That would either be Indiana or Ohio State at the 7. They would be the 10. But the 10 has a play-in game, so it would either be Indiana, Ohio State, or the 15. So could be a number of teams in the 15 because that bottom is so jumbled. How about Iowa maybe not making the Big Ten tournament?
That's nuts. Quite the fall from grace for the Hawkeyes. And then Paul, I saw also wanted to clarify as far as NCAA tournament. I think this locks Illinois into no worse than the 7 seed.
I was surprised people still had Illinois on the 8 line after the Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't surprised by that. I don't think the Michigan win alone was enough to lock them into a 7. They were certainly trending upwards. I think this now locks them into at minimum a 7. I think they could play themselves up to a 6, maybe even a 5 if they win the whole thing. I don't expect they're going to win the whole Big Ten tournament. But I think you win maybe 2 more games, maybe get yourself up to a 6. I don't think that's out of the question now. You've now won your last 3 games. You have 20 wins, 12 Big Ten wins. I think you're probably right now looking at a 7 seed. If you win a couple more games in the Big Ten tournament, probably up to a 6. If you're on the table, win the whole thing, I think you can play yourself up to a 5. I think that's what you're probably looking at for Illinois. Maybe if they're blown out on Thursday, maybe they are an 8. I don't know. I haven't done any of my number crunching the last few days, so I can't totally say that, but I think it's certainly possible they're still an 8, but I think they've probably played themselves up to a 7, is my hunch. So we'll see.
I was doing some
really like to avoid that 8-9 line.
I was doing some resume comparisons today when I had a break at work with some teams that are of the similar seed line. And I know record is a big deal, but I think 20-11 with Illinois' resume, I don't see how some of these teams are higher. Like Louisville is above Illinois at this point. They've played nobody. I was surprised at how strong Oregon's resume was. Oregon's on the 4 or 5 line. And I was like, what? And then I looked at their resume, and it's actually a lot stronger than I thought it was.
So I did this. I guess I did this a couple days ago. So this is prior to tonight's win. I had Illinois on the 7 line. I had Louisville on the 5 line. Just based on the numbers. But again, there's my information is basically strictly on numbers. Prior to, again, this was 2 days ago, I think. Louisville, for example, as you brought up, they were 25 in the net, 24 in KenPom. Their strength of record was 13, which was 20 spots higher than Illinois'. Their wins above bubble, which you and I texted about, at that point they were 9 spots ahead of Illinois. And their record, they had better, let's see. They had 12 combined quad 1, quad 2 wins, which is Illinois had 13. So I don't know. I see what you're saying. It'll be interesting.
What's their best win?
Louisville, I don't know.
Clemson. Clemson at home. They also beat Indiana. That's their second best. Their second best win.
No, that's
is
fair.
Indiana.
That's fair.
They've played nobody.
The problem is that Illinois has lost a lot of games that they shouldn't have lost. That's the difference. Illinois has too many of those losses. Louisville has 6 combined quad 1, quad 2 losses, whereas Illinois has how many now? 11.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. Illinois lost a lot more games than Louisville has.
So that's now 14 quad 1 and 2 wins for Illinois.
Yes.
Which puts them about 10th. It's the same as Tennessee. It's the same as Michigan. It's the same as Oregon.
Yes, but they also have a lot more losses than most of those teams.
Yeah.
So that's what it's going to come down to. Illinois shit the bed for a month and a half, and that's going to bite them when it comes to seeding. But either way, I think you've probably played yourself off of that 8-9, which is what you wanted to avoid. You don't want to see those number 1 seeds in that second round. The 2 seeds would be a little bit better. You would love to see them play themselves up to the 6. I think that would be a world of a difference. Because then you're looking at, in the second round, teams like Iowa State,
Texas Tech,
St. John's. Not that those aren't good teams. I think you'd rather see some of those teams than you would a Florida or, Michigan State. I don't think they would see them in the second round. But either way, I think they've played themselves up to the 7, which is certainly a good thing. Anything else you want to talk about? Any other airings, grievances to air?
Someone did ask a question.
Oh. Is it Mark's question about the official meetup for Indy next week?
I wish. I've covered Big Ten tournaments, but I've never. I would love to go just sit
I will not be there
on Friday and Saturday and watch.
Too.
But no, I did take the day off though. I took the next 2 Fridays off so I could just sit at home and watch basketball.
Good for you.
I think I was just thinking of Bootzilla asked if Fran is gone, and then Michael asked what other coaches are gone. I mean, in the Big Ten, I don't know that anyone else in the Big Ten will be. Seems like Ben Johnson is going to keep his job. I think Fran's gone.
Yeah. I think it's time for Fran.
Maybe Peichel, but I don't think so.
That's a messy situation. But yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at some Rutgers fan or reporter popped up on my timeline the other day talking about it. And like you said, it was just a weird situation because he's such a kind of gritty, grinded out coach. Like, I think he really focuses on the defensive end. And they had all these expectations this year because of Harper and because of Bailey. But they're like offensive guys. They don't really do much on the defensive end. So it was a kind of a tough dynamic for him to try and pull all the strings. And he had to do it perfectly, and he didn't. So I don't think he'll go anywhere. But
this is off subject. I kind of just want to circle back to like the seeding situation. I think it is interesting though, because you talk about that potential first or second round matchup. There's some interesting options there. We can, there's certainly the potential first round matchup with somebody like West Virginia or in Oklahoma that has some storylines there. But what I'm more interested in is that potential second round matchup, because here are some of the names of teams that Illinois could potentially see in the second round if they were to be like, say, the 7 seed. Tennessee, who they've already played before.
Played them.
Alabama.
Played them.
Michigan State.
Played them.
Wisconsin.
Played them.
That's the thing. Like, I mean, Duke's not going to fall to the 2, but like
Iowa State, if you like, could potentially get
I
up
mean,
there.
that's
Played them last year.
like that's 4 teams that are very much in play for like the 2-3 line. So it'll just be interesting to see how they end up doing that, because I know they'll try to avoid rematches in the second round. First and second round is what they'll try to do. So we'll see. I think that could be interesting, because if that's what they're going to try to do, then you can almost, like, process of elimination, figure out which region you're going to be in. Probably going to see somebody like Texas Tech or Iowa State.
So
How about
let's
in
say,
Arizona? How about Kylan Boswell against
oh yeah,
Arizona? There's some
otherwise
storylines
a
there.
7, and you get West Virginia in the first round.
Yep.
Storylines there.
Yep.
And then the 2 is any of those that you named.
Yeah.
Like, the committee's gonna do it. Like, they know all the storylines going in. They're
Right.
gonna set it
But
up.
I think they will avoid rematches, though, in the first and second round if they can. That's the thing. I don't know that you'll see those teams. That's why I'm saying I think you're more likely to see like a Texas Tech or an Arizona.
Yeah.
Because if the 2 seeds end up being Alabama, Tennessee, Michigan State, and Wisconsin, then
you can't avoid it.
You can't avoid it. Illinois has played all 4 of those teams, so they're going to get a rematch in the second round.
Yeah.
If they win their first round.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Craig?
Haven't heard from St. Dominic in a while. St. Dominic, every time I'm out, Brett Underwood, he keeps pulling me back in. Just when I thought I was out, he pulls me back in. Underwood coach teams are an enigma wrapped in a riddle. Yeah, I think he has definitely had his struggles, but I thought tonight, it was later than I'd like to, but I thought tonight he did make an adjustment that won them the game with the double teaming.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that
I know why you're shaking your head, but
yeah. I agree. I mean, I agree. He's had his struggles when it comes to some of the adjustments.
What's up, Lyndon? When would you bring back Merez? Probably the quarters. If it's me, I would try to get him back by the quarterfinals. Try and win that first round or your first game on the Thursday. Try and win that without him, depending on the matchup. But I'd like to have him back for the quarterfinals of the Big Ten tournament. And I agree with Czar. I predict we will be a popular upset pick to lose in the first round.
For sure.
100%.
For sure.
This team is so
and it won't shock me if they do.
Yeah. I've said it for 2 months now. It's either a first round exit or a Final Four. There's probably not an in between. It's either an early exit or a Final Four.
Yeah, I would love a couple wins. I would love going back to the Sweet 16 would be great. I think this team is capable of doing it, but we've also seen it. What happens? This is a young and inexperienced team that's taken a really long time to get their shit together. So we'll see. Regardless, Illinois has now won 3 games in a row, 2 of them against top 25, top quarter of the Big Ten talent. Against
back in the rankings on Monday or no?
I think Illinois will find themselves back in the top 25 for whatever that matters next week after this. So next up will be the Big Ten tournament. Illinois will open that up Thursday. Obviously, we'll learn more about that as the rest of the weekend progresses, what time they play, who they play against, and who their potential second round matchup would be, or third round.
Whatever. Good news is I think they're out of that afternoon window.
Yes.
So we should both be off of work and able to hop on here.
I hadn't thought about
all
that,
weekend.
But yes, you're correct.
Thursday and Friday, should they have both of them.
That would be, what is that? I had that up.
Thursday the 13th, the first game's at 6:30 Eastern, and then Friday at 6:30 Eastern as well. It's noon, 2:30, 6:30, and 9.
But what are the seeds? So Illinois is probably the 6 or the 7. So yes, you're correct.
Potentially.
They can't climb to the 5, and they won't. I don't think they can fall to the 8.
I don't think they'll fall to the 8. Yeah.
So yes, you're probably looking at the 6 or the 7. So as Craig alluded to, both Thursday and Friday, you would have evening games. So that's that.
Thank God, because this team cannot play in the afternoon.
Yeah.
They do not show up to play.
Yeah. So we will both be back most likely for Big Ten tournament games. And then I assume we're going to do a Selection Sunday show as well. We haven't actually talked about that, but we've kind of been doing that every year unless Craig has plans. I don't think I do. We should be here for that. Bootzilla is asking about Oscar thoughts. Did you want to give your Oscar thoughts? Did you watch the Oscars? Have you seen a movie? Did you watch Wicked?
I don't think I've seen any movies that have been nominated.
Did you end up watching Wicked after you gained access to it?
No, we immediately went on vacation, and then sidebar from Illini basketball. So sorry if our viewership.
You can all tune out now. We're about to shut it down, but since Bootzilla brought it up, we'll talk about movies for a second, or life, or whatever Craig's going to bring up. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
What did you just ask?
I don't know. I asked if you've watched Wicked.
I said no, and then you asked a question that I was going to answer.
I don't know.
Oh, it's hard for us to watch anything right now because of our schedules. She's working nights.
And it's basketball season.
And it's basketball season. So on the weekends, I've got a game on. We've been gone. Well, we were gone for 2 weekends for vacation. Same. She went back home to Michigan, or she went back to Michigan for a bridal shower last weekend. So I was here by myself, and a lot of the stuff like she wants to watch too. So I'm not going to watch it without her. Like it's that way with Full Swing. I haven't even watched the Netflix PGA Tour Full Swing show yet because she wants to watch it too because of the whole Scotty Scheffler stuff down here and all that. So we're so behind on all of our shows. All I've been watching is basketball.
I get it. Bootzilla, to answer your question, I loved Enora, so I was happy with it winning the awards that it won. Dune was my top of the year, but I knew it wasn't going to win because the Academy's a bunch of idiots. But Enora was great. I really enjoyed it.
I liked how they put Timothée Chalamet right in the front on the aisle, and he just dapped up every single Dune producer, special effects person as they came up.
In his bright green, bright yellow suit. Enora is... Do you know anything about Enora?
I've seen some things. It's like, don't watch with your parents.
Don't watch with your parents. No. Did you ever see the movie Uncut Gems?
Yes.
Okay. It is... the story of pretty women with the energy of Uncut Gems. Okay. It is. I thought it was great, but yes, don't watch it with your parents. A lot of sexy time. Okay, that's it. If you want my Oscars thoughts, you can follow me on social media, and I posted the Logies last week. For Craig, I am Logan. We will see you guys Thursday evening after Illinois' first, whatever that would be.
I love
Big Ten.
Last tidbit. I love that we ended the season Friday and we're not playing Saturday or Sunday. Like
my whole weekend's free.
Exactly.
This is great. I love it. I'm all about it. Final 88-80 Illinois. Big home win over Purdue. They did not storm the court.
God! Don't even get me started.
I know you were fired up about that. About the storm.
God, I hate that.
We don't need to bring that up anymore. He's Craig. I'm Logan. We'll see you guys on Thursday. Good night.